The surgeon closed the operating room door and said, "This isn't a medical procedure. It's an organ harvesting operation for buyers who've already paid." I was strapped to the operating table with leather restraints around my wrists and ankles, staring up at fluorescent lights that burned too bright against sterile white ceiling tiles. Dr. Raymond Keeler stood above me in full surgical scrubs, his mask pulled down to reveal a face I'd trusted completely 3 hours ago when he'd explained that my appendectomy would be routine and low risk. Now his expression carried no warmth, only clinical detachment as he adjusted instruments on a tray beside my head. The anesthesia they'd given me wasn't working properly. I could feel everything, think clearly, but my body refused to respond to commands. Paralyzed but conscious, the worst possible combination. My heart monitor beeped faster as panic set in, and Keeler glanced at the screen with mild interest before returning his attention to surgical preparation. I tried to speak, to scream, to move anything, but my vocal cords were frozen, and my limbs felt encased in concrete. "You're experiencing the effects of a paralytic agent combined with minimal sedation," Keeler explained, while laying out scalpels in precise rows. "We need you conscious enough to maintain organ viability, but immobilized to prevent complications during extraction. Your appendix is fine, Mr. Novak. It always was. The CT scan I showed you was from a different patient, selected specifically because the inflammation patterns matched symptoms you'd been experiencing." He pulled his surgical mask back into place and moved toward the table where a nurse I'd never seen before was preparing additional instruments. She was younger than the nurses who'd prepped me earlier, with cold eyes that avoided making contact with mine. Every piece of equipment gleamed under the lights, surgical precision meeting systematic horror. I'd come to Metropolitan Medical Center this morning because of abdominal pain that had been getting progressively worse over 3 days. The emergency room doctor had been concerned enough to order imaging, and Keeler had reviewed the results personally, recommending immediate surgery. "Your tissue typing was completed 2 weeks ago when you came in for that routine physical," Keeler continued, speaking as if conducting a medical lecture rather than explaining planned murder. "Blood work, genetic markers, full compatibility screening disguised as standard preventive care. You matched perfectly with 3 different buyers who've been waiting for suitable donors. Your kidneys will go to a pharmaceutical executive in Dubai who's been on dialysis for 18 months. Your liver goes to a defense contractor in Singapore whose cirrhosis has progressed beyond transplant list eligibility. Your heart is the premium item purchased by a media mogul in Hong Kong whose congenital defect has finally reached critical failure." The casual recitation of my body being divided and sold made me want to vomit, but even that autonomic function was suppressed by whatever drugs they'd pumped into my system. Keeler moved to a computer terminal and pulled up files containing photographs and medical records. I could see faces of wealthy individuals, financial transactions, shipping logistics for organ transport. "The total value of your organs on the private market is approximately $8 million, Keeler said while reviewing the files. "Each buyer paid premium rates for guaranteed compatibility and expedited delivery. The surgeries are already scheduled in 3 different countries, with transplant teams standing by for organs that will arrive within optimal preservation windows." His matter-of-fact tone suggested this was routine business rather than premeditated murder. I forced my eyes to track movement around the room, looking for anything that might help. The nurse was preparing IV lines that would presumably keep my organs perfused during extraction. A second person in scrubs entered through a side door, male and significantly larger than Keeler, probably there for heavy lifting or physical security if complications arose. No one was coming to help. The emergency room staff who'd admitted me thought I was in legitimate surgery. My phone was locked in a storage locker with my clothes. I'd told my brother Austin I'd text him after the procedure, but he wouldn't expect to hear from me for hours. "You're probably wondering how long this has been going on," Keeler said while checking my vital signs on the monitor. "Metropolitan Medical has been running this program for 11 years. We've processed 64 donors through this facility, all selected through emergency admissions or routine procedures that provided cover for unexpected complications. The hospital administration believes there's been an unfortunate series of surgical deaths, but mortality rates are within acceptable statistical variance for a facility this size. No one questions it because I've built a reputation for taking high-risk cases that other surgeons refuse." He adjusted the IV drip, and I felt cold liquid spreading through my veins. What happened next made things a lot worse. To see the full story, click the link below or go on my channel.